I'll admit from the start, I've heard many of these stories about the deep web and dark web and always considered them nonsense. However, a close friend swore that she had been to this place and had seen truly disturbing things. Some she mentioned and others she refused to talk about. She said that some of the things she had seen would haunt her for the rest of her life. I should have let it go, but I wanted to believe that she was making it all up and that such a place didn't exist. But I was wrong. You know how it goes. I downloaded Tor and logged in. I found the hidden wiki. I had been warned about some of the links and how they could lead to truly crazy and horrible things. I clicked on a few, and most were encounters or escort requests, drug deals, things like that. As expected, I was starting to think that she was right, and that the deep web was just an easy way to make shady deals that couldn't be traced. It was boring and rather insignificant. I looked around for something remotely interesting until I found a link called Night Watch. I thought it might be interesting. I imagined it would be someone telling spooky stories or wandering through a quiet town at night or something like that. What I was greeted with was a plain black page with 3 videos enlarged to cover the space, placed side by side in a line. They were paused, and each of them had a photo of different people. The first showed a family of 4, mom, dad, and 2 girls. The second was a couple, and the woman was clearly pregnant. The third was just a woman with her dog, a cute black Labrador with a white stripe over his left eye. Before I could study them too much, a voice echoed. It was male but slightly distorted, so I couldn't really hear how it sounded. But here's what it said: "Good evening. Tonight, the Night Watchers have brought you 3 unique homes. Each of them lives different lives, believes in different things, and has different future plans." He paused and cleared his throat. For this next part, it seemed like he was smiling. Watch each video and then choose one. I didn't really understand the point of this task, but honestly, my curiosity was piqued. I clicked on the first video. There wasn't much to it. It showed the family in their home, jumping through moments of watching TV, playing in the backyard, having dinner, the parents tucking the kids in, and then retreating to their own bed for some intimate time. It cut off there. Thank goodness. I was starting to feel like a creep. I was watching a part of someone's life that was meant just for them. Reluctantly, I clicked on the next video and was transported to the home of a young couple preparing to start a family. It skipped between them in the nursery, hugging each other, and generally looking excited. They ate salads at the kitchen table, checked the mail, leafed through baby books and magazines, watched a TV show, and then went to bed, cuddling together. It was so sweet that I couldn't help but smile at what I had seen. However, it was still a voyeuristic look into their personal moments. I went through the other 2 and decided it was right to watch the last one. This was of a single woman living alone with her dog. It was a bit messy. She had dishes piled up, clothes on a couch in the living room, and trash overflowing. The other 2 had been quite tidy. The family had a few toys and clothes lying around, and the couple had a very clean house. I wondered if there was a point to showing these aspects in the videos since they were showing them anyway. The woman seemed lonely. She watched a lot of TV, ate half a gallon of ice cream, checked her cell phone every few minutes, obviously waiting for a call or message, played with her dog, fed it, and then went to bed, taking her phone with her. She started to pleasure herself, and I began to feel incredibly uncomfortable. Fortunately, it ended there. I waited to see what would come next. The videos returned to the photo screen of each one. The voice came back and said, "Now that you've seen, which one will you choose?" I stood there staring, praying that someone else was watching this and would make a choice, but nothing happened. For a few minutes, the videos disappeared and 3 new ones started playing simultaneously. These made my stomach churn. There were 3 tall men. I assumed they were men because of the features I could distinguish. They were all wearing the same clothes: black shirt, pants, boots, and a long black coat that swayed around their ankles. Each wore a wide-brimmed black hat. "Have you decided which one you will choose?" asked the voice over the live broadcast. Death comes on swift wings for our condemned friends. You must choose one. That's how the game goes. I thought this was a game, and I was horrified. Was I really supposed to choose who died here and who survived? It was ridiculous. I went to close the page quietly. The voice started again before I could close it. Before you close us out, you must know that if you do not choose one of the three shown here, your family will be next. I was startled by this statement but thought it was just trying to scare me. It was doing a good job of it. Honestly, I thought, and my heart skipped a beat when it said my name. Now I was officially terrified. I just wanted this to stop. Anna, sweet Anna, I know this is a difficult choice, but it must be made. Please, if you can, direct the Night Watcher to their task. The original videos came back up, and I knew it meant it was time to choose someone to die. Maybe it was just a horrible prank some hacker and his friends played on unsuspecting deep web users. I said out loud, more to make myself feel better than anything else, although my heart was still pounding. I looked at the people again. There was the family with kids. I couldn't choose them. Then there was the couple expecting a baby. I couldn't do this. It was too much. Choose, shouted the voice, usually calm but now frantic. I jumped and looked at the last one. It was the lonely woman with her dog as company. She had less to lose and was alone, without children or husband. It wasn't right, but I quickly clicked on her video. Very well, so it shall be, said the voice, calm and soft again. The Night Watcher's videos reappeared. Night Watchers have made a decision. You may proceed with your task. I watched in horror as two of the Watchers walked toward the houses in front of them, and the third walked away from one house. I was confused. I had chosen the lonely woman, but her Watcher was walking away and disappeared into the night, and the broadcast cut off. The other two videos enlarged and took up the screen. What's happening? Was all I could say. The two Watchers shown entered the houses effortlessly. I was biting my lower lip so hard it was bleeding. The broadcast followed them as each one silently moved through the houses. One Watcher entered the nursery and looked around cautiously before heading to the other bedroom. The other Watcher walked slowly down the hall, apparently trying to decide which room to enter, and chose the children's room. I looked at the first video. The Watcher was standing at the foot of the bed of the sleeping couple, holding a machete. He walked to the side and began to wildly swing it. There were screams so loud and terrified that I felt like I might faint or vomit. I looked at the other video reluctantly. The Watcher was standing in the children's room, right in the middle of the crib. He was also wielding a machete. I screamed when he lifted it and leaned forward to pull the plug from the computer wall. I was terrified and traumatized. What had I witnessed? What had I done? My mouth felt dry. My head was spinning out of control, and I felt like my heart might burst in my chest. After several hours, I decided to check my computer and hoped that the nightmare I had witnessed would be gone and there would be nothing. Days later, I was checking my email when I stopped and backed up, horrified. There was an email from the Night Watcher. I finally opened it, and I really don't know why. Maybe I was hoping it would tell me that I had been tricked or something like that. Instead, there were some large words on a white background. Jenna thanks you for excluding her from the fate of a Night Watcher. We also thank you for your choices and really enjoyed our encounter with you. Play again whenever you like. Attached was a photo of the lonely woman walking her dog in the park, looking down at her phone. Never, ever again will I access the deep web. This actually happened to a friend of mine in college over 10 years ago. He was a bit of a computer geek and frequently visited many sites. For privacy, I'll call him Alan. He was 25 years old at the time and shared custody of his young daughter with his ex-girlfriend. Lonely and bored, he was browsing dating sites on his laptop. Suddenly, he saw a flashing banner that said, "Single? Would you like to meet someone? Click here and find your match." Clicking innocently, the banner disappeared and was replaced by another message. Congratulations, lonely person. Are you male or female? Click on the male or female symbol. Alan clicked on the male symbol and was asked if he wanted to meet a man or a woman. He clicked on the female symbol. Finally, they asked, "What is your name?" Wanting to stay anonymous, Alan typed Roger Jameson. Suddenly, the banner displayed an animation of a person shaking their head side to side as if embarrassed or angry. Below the image, another banner appeared. "Nice try, buddy. Your name is actually Alan Martin. Don't try to deceive us." Alan started to panic and tried to exit the website. To his disbelief, everything was frozen. The mouse refused to move, and he couldn't turn off the computer. Suddenly, his image appeared on the site. The animated person was holding it like a photograph. Below the image, a new banner appeared. "Now we have your face and address. We will be at your house in 20 minutes. Don't try to hide or call anyone. It's useless. She really wants to meet you." Alan was screaming at his laptop on the floor when the screen went black. He tried his cell phone but found it wasn't working and had no landline. He hurried to find a weapon, opting for a baseball bat. Just as he did, the doorbell rang. It rang once, then again. Suddenly, a woman's voice said, "Hi, to meet you. Open the door, please." Her voice was pleasant and non-threatening, but Alan peeked through a nearby window and saw her. She was dressed in a long dark blue dress that looked like an old graduation gown. Her long dark hair looked like it needed brushing, and her ribs were strangely visible on the sides. Her eyes had a vacant look and were bloodshot. It seemed like she hadn't slept in weeks. She wore dark red lipstick that was smudged on her cheek. "I know you're there," she said in an eerie way. Finally, Alan looked, and in her left hand, she held a large butcher knife that looked like it had been used. She started banging on the door with the knife. "Come on, open the door. You said you wanted to meet me. Open it." Suddenly, a neighbor's dog started barking loudly, drawing her attention. He saw her walk away with a mocking smile and hid under the kitchen table. He tried his cell phone again, and to his relief, it was working again. While talking to the dispatcher, he heard the neighbor's dog let out a loud howl and what sounded like someone cutting something. The dog had gone quiet, but the cutting sounds continued while he was still on the call. He heard someone approach his door again, ring the bell once, and then run away. The dispatcher advised him to open the door and that the police would arrive soon, and to use a cold word to signal them. The 10 minutes it took for them to arrive felt like an hour. After the police gave the all clear, Alan opened the door and was met with a horrifying scene. On the way to the door was the neighbor's dog, a German Shepherd, in a pitiful and barely recognizable state. On its back was a message that read, "Next time I'll meet you." But the word meet was written as meat. Unfortunately, they never found the woman and couldn't locate the website. Alan ended up getting his neighbor a new dog and eventually moved to a different place. Although he eventually found a girlfriend, the guilt and fear he felt that night weighed heavily on his mind. He told me that fortunately, he was smart enough not to open the door to the woman in the graduation gown. I was glad he didn't, but sometimes I wonder if someone was unfortunate enough to open that door for the crazy prom queen with a butcher knife. I almost don't want to know. Not long ago, I decided to use my computer skills to run a small forum on the dark web, mainly to share uncensored information. At first, I was extremely paranoid about my site being hacked and my privacy compromised. So, I researched online everything I would need to ensure my own security. After countless days of searching through blogs, forums, and other materials, I decided I was ready. I didn't have the money to buy a VPN and host the site, so I opted to use my old laptop. After setting up the server and doing what I thought was everything to strengthen it against an attack, I put the site online. Everything was great for a couple of months. Donations came in as the user base grew. After about 5 or 6 months, The user base became so large that I had to upgrade and migrate everything to a new PC that I built specifically to host the forum. Everything seemed perfect and trouble-free with the migration until one day, when I came home and noticed that the PC had frozen. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe it was just a software glitch. So, I rebooted it, but something was clearly wrong. The PC powered on, beeped a few times, and wouldn't shut down. I thought it was a hardware issue, and after a few hours of trying to diagnose it, I discovered that the RAM module had been corrupted. I took it back to the store, as it was still under warranty, and the customer service representative just told me it might have been a faulty RAM module. I replaced the RAM and got the site back up and running within a few hours. Everything seemed perfect again. However, moving forward a few months, after the forum had been running for about a year or a year and a half, things started getting really strange. One Friday, after finishing work on a beautiful summer day, I came home and noticed I had a message. When I opened it, I realized something had gone wrong somewhere. I don't really know why someone would want to attack me. The message contained details like my name, address, bank details, passwords, private emails, and private messages from practically all the devices I owned. I panicked and immediately disconnected the PC and turned off my internet. But this person had done their research. After a couple of hours of pacing around my room, I received a text message, "I know all about you." The message was sent through some kind of SMS service, so it couldn't be traced. Then my phone rang. "Don't speak, just listen. I know everything there is to know about you, and all I want are 2 Bitcoins. If things get worse, I'll send you a text with the wallet details." The call ended as quickly as it began. I opened my laptop, checked, and there were enough donations to pay this person and hoped that would be the end of it. I entered the details and made the payment. Then my phone rang again. "Thank you for complying. Unfortunately, someone I know really appreciates you." The call ended. I panicked and tried to call the number back, but an automated message started playing. "The number you have dialed is not recognized." A few hours passed, and I started to think maybe the last call was just a prank. I decided to go to bed after a long day. Around 2 a.m., I was woken by the sound of banging on my front door. I jumped out of bed, turned on all the lights, and grabbed a kitchen knife. I walked slowly to the window and looked outside. I saw someone standing next to a car. When they saw me, they got in the car and left. I ran to the door, hoping to get the license plate number, but by the time I opened it, they had already turned the corner. As I turned back, I noticed an envelope on the ground. I picked it up, went back inside, and locked the door. I closed the curtains and sat in the kitchen. I placed the envelope on the counter and stared at it for about 30 minutes, trying to gather the courage to open it. Did these people really come to my house? I thought. After those 30 minutes, I decided enough was enough. I opened the envelope and photos fell out onto the counter. They were of me sleeping, but not at my house. These were photos taken at Franco's house. I started to panic again, and Franco simply said, "Well, we need to do something. Maybe set a trap or something." So, we went through numerous ideas, from cameras to luring them, and decided on the idea of staying up all night and locking them in a room. We filled the bed with pillows, set up cameras, and even barricaded the windows. We hid in the room next to the door. After a few hours, we heard the lock vibrating on the front door, and we knew it was time to act. We left the door ajar so we could see outside as they passed, and the moment they entered the room, we sprang into action as quickly as we could. We closed the door and locked it from the outside with a chair and a metal bar. There was only one way they could get out. They would have to destroy the door. We could see their silhouette as they moved silently around the room. It was eerie. We called the police while monitoring them through the makeshift surveillance. They entered the room. The police called an ambulance and put Franco and me in the back of a police car. I was in the interrogation room for a good couple of hours, I guess, while they conducted the investigation. When the detective came in and sat across from me, Opening a folder and laying photos on the table, he asked if I knew the person. I looked at the photos and said no. He looked at me and said, "This is the person who has been stalking you." Then he explained that they had visited her room and found a shrine with photos of me all over the place. At restaurants, the gym, and even shopping. He continued to tell me that she had sent the messages, made the calls, etc. They also found a diary with some kind of future plans for me, where she wanted me to be her husband. After explaining everything, the detective said I was lucky to be alive. She had really planned to drug me and kidnap me. She had even built some sort of makeshift locked bed so I couldn't escape. To this day, I feel fortunate and haven't returned to the dark web since.